about Python collections. So first of all, I'm going to be explaining what Python collections are all about. So Python collections refers to data structures that allows one to store and manipulate groups of related data. So in Python, whenever we're actually making working on a task, so we do store data, right? So we make use of Python collections to actually store this data in any particular task we do. So this is what Python collections are all about. So, and understanding the characteristics of, if we actually delve into this particular chapter, right, and then understanding each of the characteristics of this Python collections, this will help us to choose the right collections that we might be needing in any task that we go or we perform in the nearest future, or as we go about this course, right? So we're going to be talking about, we have different types of Python collections, which includes, as we are seeing now, which includes, we have the list, we have the tuples, we have the set, we have the dictionary. Like I said before in the previous class, I mentioned, if you have actually come across a JavaScript course, you actually get familiar with lists, get familiar with arrays, objects. So in Python, we don't call arrays, we don't call objects, so we actually call them lists, we actually call them sets, we actually call them tuples and dictionary, in which we, during an operation or during a task, we store our data. So I'm going to be talking about each of these collections, and I'm going to be showing examples how we denote each of these collections, and I'm going to be going to our VS Code. So we have the first collection as a list. So we have a list. It said a list is a collection which is ordered and changeable, and in Python, list, we denote, it's a collection which is ordered. So we should actually be familiar with each of these characters. It will enable us, like I said, to perform each task very well, for our code to be efficient and also readable. So a list is a collection which is ordered and changeable. That means it is changeable, means that it is mutable. You can alter anything which you have inside your list. And in Python, we denote our list with a block bracket. So we're going to go to our VS Code and see what we're talking about. So here I've already created a file called collections.py. So I'm going to call in, passing a variable called cars, and then say equal to, like I said we denote lists with a block bracket. So I'm going to pass in quote, I have my Benz, passing Benz, I have G-Wagon, I have Camry, and I have other. You can actually name as many examples as you want, but I'll be stopping here. I'll be stopping here with this example. So we've actually say perform our print task by saying print cars. We're going to be printing our variables cars. So once I save this guy, I come to my terminal and say Python, I'm calling my collectors. So I'll run this. It's actually displaying for me here the things that are actually assigned to the variable cars. So if you actually want to know in Python, oh, which type of collection is this? So if I come here and then say print in brackets, I'll type and then put another bracket and call the variable which I had called earlier, and then save it. So I'm going to be having here, I come to my terminal and run my code. If you see now, it's telling me that it's a class of what? A list. So this is how we denote list in Python. We make use of block brackets. So we can actually access our list using indexing. Like we said, it is ordered and it is changeable. Ordered means that you can number it from 1, 2, 3, 4, so you can access it using indexes. So I can actually access, if I want to access my G-Wagon, I would say print, I'll call cars, and then pass in a block. I'll pass in a block bracket and then say 1. And when I say 1, I print it. I then come to my terminal, run my code. Are you seeing I'm having, if you look at this place here, I'm having my G-Wagon as to access my G-Wagon using indexing. So another characteristics of list that we should bear in mind is that list is indexed, is zero indexed. Like is zero indexed, you count it from 0, 1, 2, and if we have so many other examples, we can still apply the numbering. So list as a collection is zero index. That was why I said I passed in 1 here inside my variable. So I have here at 0, 0 is Benz, and then 1 is G-Wagon and the rest of it. So this is how we can access, our list in Python. So we can actually check the length. If we want to check the length of the examples we've written here, we can check the examples by saying print, passing len, and then passing my variable cars inside it, save it, and then come here and run my code. So if you are seeing it here, if you check down here below here, you're going to be seeing 3. That means I have a length of 3. This is it. In length is actually 1, 2, 3. That is, it's 3 in number. But if you actually want to get each of them, it works based on indexing. So we use indexing, and list is a zero indexed collection. So we can still perform so many operations here. We can still add something to our list using append. So I have here print, okay, I can say here cars dot append. I want to add something to the list of things I had already. So I'm going to call a car. I'll call BMW, and then I will then say print cars. I'll then say print cars. So when I save this guy here, I'll comment on this one here, so I'll be able to view a particular example I'm making. So I'm commenting this guys here, so I'm saving it also. So when I come to my terminal, I'm going to run this, and if I run this, are you seeing I had three examples in my variable cars. Now I'm having 4. If you check, I have BMW appended to the list of cars I have there. So we can still use insert. To add things. Apart from using an append, we can still use insert to add things to our list. So here I have cars dot insert, and then in another thing we should know about insert works with indexing too. So I'm going to now put 1 comma, and I will then call the name of whatever I want to insert into that. So I'm going to call Benz. Benz is another model of a car. So I'm going to call Benz. Okay, I have Benz already here. So I'm going to call Jeep. Let me type Jeep here. So I will then say print cars. Once I save this and come to my terminal and run it. So if you check this insertion syntax I just performed, you would see that I had already added jeep to the second. That means if you count it here, this is 0. Like I mentioned earlier, that list in Python is 0 index, so this is 0. And I said insert number 1. Insertion has to do with addition, and not only addition, but you add based on indexing, based on the position. So I said number 1, add jeep, so it's going to displace this G-Wagon, which was number 1 before, and then add jeep there. So this is what insertion does for us in Python. So we'll be talking about how to steal other operations in list. We'll be talking about how to delete. If you want to delete, I'll be taking this guy off. I'll be commenting on it, sorry. So we can also talk about how to remove. We can remove an item from the list of cars we have using remove, or we can actually use delete syntax to do the operation. So I'm going to come here and say cars dot remove, then passing what I want to remove. So I have jeep there. I'm going to take away jeep that I added there. So this is a capital letter. So jeep, I'm going to save it and then still say print. I will print and print cars. So once ever you modify, you have to print what you have there. So I'm going to save here and then come to my terminal and run my code. Come to my terminal and run my code. Sorry, I'm having jeep here. Okay, I do not have jeep because I already saved. Why I'm having the error is that initially I inserted jeep, right? So that is why for the first the manually operation I performed by having only three values to these cars, I wasn't having a jeep, but I inserted it on my own, making an operation using an insert. So when I save this and now come, if you check this first operation, the first operation is having a jeep, right? And when I now say remove jeep, it took away jeep. That is why it's in the second line, it's giving me a list of cars, a list of some list of cars that I have without a jeep. So this is how we remove. We can still use delete option, right? We've used our remove to take away things from our list, our Python list collection. So we can still use delete. I'll say del. So I'm going to save it. So I then run my code. So if you see now, if you see what I'm having here, it has already taken away number 1. So I'm trying to take away G-Wagon from the list of cars I have in my example. So it took away G-Wagon. So there are still other operations that we can perform in a Python list. So we'll be delving to another type of Python collection, which is okay. Before we delve into another type of Python collection, I want to be talking about constructors. We've talked about how we can perform operations, right? We've talked about addition using, you can append, you can use insert, which has to do with the indexing. So we can still create manually, like we can still pass in some variables, and we can be able to now create in our terminal our list collections. So we'll be doing that using what we call a list constructor. So list constructors are being used to actually construct, just like the name sounds, constructor. You use it to construct a list. Like initially I made an example, I actually passed in the block bracket, which denotes the list in Python. But now we're actually going to just use a constructor to create this list. So I'm going to say call fruit, then say equal to passing list, call list, and then call. This is the format which we write a constructor, right? So I'm going to now pass in the values which I want to put inside my list. So Examples of apple fruit, I have apple. Let me use a single quote. I have apple, I have grape, or let me say cherry. I'm just going to make a few examples. I have banana. So I'm going to save this guy and then say print fruits. So I'm going to save this guy and then say print fruits. So I'll go to my terminal and then run my code. So if you see below this, I want to take away this guy here. I'm going to take away this guy here and then save it and go to my terminal. So if you see below here, we have constructed a list collection. This is what we have as a list collection, denoting it with that block bracket. If you see, when we were creating it, we actually used a constructor which has to do with list and a round bracket, passing in the values for the variable. So we can still check whether we are on point by saying print type, have type, and then passing fruit inside. So if I pass in fruit inside and save it, then come to my terminal, it's going to print the list of items I have inside my fruit and then tell me that it is a class of list. So this is what we have for list in Python. So we'll be talking about Python tuples, another type of collection in Python. So what is a Python tuple? A Python tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. If you notice, when we talked about list, we said it is ordered too, and it is changeable. That is what we call being mutable. So a tuple is ordered, but it is not what? It is not mutable. You cannot alter a tuple. So this is how we represent a tuple in Python. So I'm going to comment on this and all this and then take it away, taking all of them away. So I'm going to create a new terminal, creating a new terminal. So example of how I'm going to still be making use of my fruit example. So I'm going to call fruit equal to, I pass in a round bracket. So in tuple is denoted with what? With a round bracket. So I'm passing a round bracket, then passing my values. I have cherry, I have apples, I have banana, I have this should be inside my quote. I have bananas. So I'm going to come down below and say print fruits. Save this guy and then come to my terminal and run my code. So if you see, it's giving me the the items I have, the tuple of items I have assigned to a variable fruit. So if I come down here and still say print type of fruit, print type, then passing the variable fruit inside, save it, come to my terminal and run the code. So it's giving me, it's a class of what? It's a class of tuple. So this is how we denote, or this is how we write tuples in Python. So we can access items in Python. Like we said it is ordered. That means we can access them using numbers, indexing. So I will now come here and say print fruits, passing my block and passing 1, then save, and then come here. So if you see, I'm taking it gave me what? It gave me apples as what? As number 1. So we can still check for the length. So we can still check for the length of this guy here. So I'll say print, just like the operations we performed, len, and then passing fruit. Then I now save my code and then run it at the terminal. I run it at the terminal. So it's telling me that I have a length of 3 items inside my fruit. So let's try and add something to see what we mentioned about a tuple being unmutable. That means being unchangeable. So I have here my fruits. I want to add something as number 1. My fruits equal to, okay, not equal to, block bracket 1. Let me put it together. You can leave it this way. Block bracket 1, then equal to, I want to assign another fruit. So I want to assign pineapple. Then I'll come here and say print fruit, then save it, come to my VS Code and run my code. So if you see now, it's showing what we have. If you check very well at this terminal, this is showing what we have as type error, telling us that tuple object does not support what item assignment. That means a tuple, like we said initially, is not mutable. You cannot change it. Once you have created a tuple, you have created a tuple, unless I come here and manually add something to it. But I can't, after adding something, to come here further again to add something. It's not going to work. It's going to throw an error. So we also can remove just like other operations we did. Also can remove things. We've checked for the length. We cannot add for a tuple. We also can remove things using del, just like we performed the operation we performed in list. Let me take away this guy. So I'll put del and call fruit. I'll take away these guys or comment on it. I'll now say del passing fruits. And then if I come here and say print fruits, I'm deleting everything. So I'm coming here, it's now going to delete everything for me. If you see now, it's telling me here that because I said delete fruits, right, and then passed in print fruit, it's telling me a name error that fruit is not defined, meaning that I've already deleted everything that has to do that is being contained inside the variable fruit. So I don't have anything again called fruit. I've already deleted that particular data stored in a particular memory. So just like we mentioned for a list, in a tuple we still have what we called the tuple constructor. So just like we do construct list, we can still construct tuples manually by ours. Like we're still placing a constructor to be able to construct tuples for us. So this is the syntax for, let me say I have places equal to, I want to create places. I will then pass in tuple. This is how to make a constructor tuple and then pass in this. So to make a constructor, I will then use my round bracket also inside here and then pass in Lagos, Abuja, PH, and the rest of them. So I'm going to save this guy and then say print place. Okay, can actually make it a plural. Let me put my s here, then save it and come to this guy here. So if you see, I'm having what some items assigned to what places, and then if I come here and say print type, then pass in another thing here and say places, let us see what it's going to give us. So I'll save it and then come to this terminal, and then are you seeing what we're having? We're having what? We're having that this is what a tuple. So this is what it does for us.